Hello YouTube, my name is Tyler. This is my second week doing the Bookopoly readathon. So this will be a vlog for week 2. It is September 9th, so I didn't have anything to update or say yesterday when the vlog technically started. So let's talk about the book I just finished, which is why I'm starting this vlog, and then I will talk about my 4th roll for Bookopoly. So roll 3 was for The Black Klansman by Ron Stallworth. I checked that out as an audiobook and it was 6 hours long and I managed to read it. I listened to an hour yesterday night and then I listened to the rest of it this afternoon, well, this morning / afternoon, because I was untangling yarn and working on re-rolling some balls of yarn and stuff, so it was really easy just to stick my headphones on and do that. So yes, I gave it 3 stars. I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe just watch the movie. That sounds harsh. It was narrated by the author, which is like fine. I guess, I don't know, it just was like, he is a police officer and there was just some parts of it that just were like, I don't want to hear about a police officer talking about, like they were also surveilling like anti-racist and leftist groups, and I don't know, that kind of left this bad taste in my mouth. There was also a story about a 15-year-old black kid who killed a white young adult. I can't remember the age, but there was some controversy around it, and I don't know, like everyone can have their own opinion, and like this 15-year-old black kid was tried as an adult, and so the black community was upset about that, and they were claiming it was racist and stuff like that, and he disagreed with the situation, that opinion, and I don't know, he just got kind of involved in it, and I don't know, it just made me feel icky, and you know, that's probably me putting my 2022 perspectives on a narrative that was happening in 1978, and things were different, obviously, and people had different understandings of things, so yeah, but if you don't know, this book takes place in Colorado Springs. Ron Stallworth was a CSPD police officer who went undercover, kind of infiltrating the Ku Klux Klan in Colorado Springs. And what I really just like enjoyed about this book was the Colorado Springs-ness of it. If you don't know, I lived in Colorado Springs for 6.5 years, and I don't know, there was something I just really enjoyed about hearing about 1978 Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs has grown significantly in those decades, and it's like a significantly different place than it used to be, besides like still being a heavily military based place. It has just like, it's huge now, and there's just like so much going on. Anyways, so it was really interesting, especially because there were certain places he would give like exact locations, like exact addresses, and so I would look up the addresses and see what they were now, or if they were places I knew or were close to where I had lived while in Colorado Springs. I don't know, it was just a really, that was what was the most interesting to me. So I don't know, it was just nice to like hear about a story taking place in Colorado Springs. So anyways, that was what I enjoyed the most about it. So it was only like a 3-star listen for me, but I didn't necessarily have a bad time. So there's that. I rolled for my 4th read and I landed on Mood Read. I keep forgetting to show this in my roll videos. Anyways, I landed on Mood Read, and I ended up choosing The Year of the Witching. I talk about this in my roll video, so I will try and keep this short. It's been on my TBR for a while. I checked it out from the library weeks ago. I just renewed my hold on it. I have not started it. I really want to read this and return it instead of just holding on to it indefinitely. So there's that. I'm not necessarily like chomping at the bit to read this, but since it is a library book that I have in my hands, that's what I will prioritize. I also mentioned that I won't feel bad DNFing this and just picking a different book as my mood read, since the prompt is not very specific. So if I end up DNFing this, that's fine, because that will still get it back to the library and I can just pick a different book for the mood read prompt. So that's where we're sitting, September 9th. That was my 5th book of the month, so doing pretty good. I think I totally forgot to mention in my August wrap up, I have hit the 100 book mark. I think I'm like at 110 books I've read this year so far. Let me see. I will double check. I have read 112 books so far this year. My goal was 100, so I'm like well ahead of schedule. Very proud of myself. So yeah, that's where we're sitting. I'll see y'all when I have an update on some sort of book. All right, bye. Good morning. It is September 11th, and I just wanted to do a quick little update because my reading has not been doing too hot this week. I think that mostly had to do with I was really rushing to edit the vlog that is coming out tomorrow, and I don't know, I just could not get myself to sit down, focus, and read. So I haven't finished anything, and I really have not made a lot of progress on any of the books that I'm reading. However, I will say the Year of the Witching is going really well. I was uncertain if it was really going to be something I could get into, just because it is more like fantasy oriented. But so far, enjoying it. It's mostly just like cult vibes. Really haven't gotten into any witchy stuff. Besides some like just like small little things, but nothing too concrete yet. Without a Prayer is going. It's strangely dense. I was hoping I could find an audiobook because I was struggling with it, like just getting myself to read it. However, none of my libraries had an audiobook, and I'm thinking maybe there is not one. I'm not going to buy one because I already bought this physical book. So yeah, that's going very slowly. I ended up getting a ebook copy of it from one of my libraries though, hoping that maybe I could end up reading a little bit more of it in bed when I didn't have access to the physical book. Or like while I'm out and about and I can just read little bits and pieces. So that is my update for the day. I'm hoping I'll finish at least one of these books this week, and get to do another roll for Bookopoly, but we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, that's that. I will talk to you later. Bye. Hello, it is September 13th, and I have finished a book. I have finished The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. This was a 4-star read, and like a good 4-star read. Like, it wasn't something I read where it was like, oh, this could have been a 5-star, but this, and this made it 4 stars. It was just like, I read it and it was a 4-star read and I had a good time and it was really good. Fun. Like, it just was a 4-star read and I had a good time with it. Sometimes you just need a 4-star read. So this is a book about a girl named Emmanuelle who was, she's being raised by her grandparents because her mother died in childbirth, and her mother had been shunned from this community that she is growing up in because she got pregnant out of wedlock with a person from the outskirts. And there is witchy cult vibes going on. There seems to be... you know what, I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't want to spoil it. Anyways, I had a really good time with this. There is supposed to be a second book coming out. I just checked and it seems like Goodreads is telling me it's already out, but I can't find a copy of it anywhere, and there's only 7 reviews on Goodreads, so I'm pretty sure it's not out. I saw somewhere saying that it was supposed to come out last month, but it doesn't seem to be out. So I don't know if that's still supposed to be coming out or not, but I will probably read it. This did feel like a pretty well contained story, but I wouldn't mind reading another book in this universe. It actually worked really well for me. I've talked about in the past, like fantasy stuff is not really my favorite thing, and like historical fiction also tends to not be my favorite thing, especially like way back before electricity. And this just like worked for me. It was not too heavy-handed. While I was reading, I kind of realized what it is I like about world building in certain books. The world building I like is just like, you see a fleshed out community and it gives you information about it that makes you think, but it's not necessarily getting super granular and detailed. So like, what scares me about like 500-page fantasy novels, besides being just bored to tears because I can't care about elves and orcs, is just like, it seems like there is just so much fucking information about the world, and I'm like, I like an interesting world, but I don't need that much. And so when I read Battle Royale, I talked about how like I wanted more information about the world, and I feel like this really kind of showed me what I like in world building, so this wasn't like giving me all the information about this religion and all the facts about the religion, but it was giving me enough to understand the world. So like, it didn't explain to me why men had multiple wives. Like, there wasn't a religious context to that, but the prophet had multiple wives. Her grandfather had 2 wives. It was very clear that like polygamy was a part of this thing. I wish I could think of another example. That's the one that just came to mind. But like, it's just this thing, like, you exist in the world and it gives you little bits and pieces of this information, but it's not like giving me pages and pages of backstory necessarily. This just really nailed just the right amount of fantasy and historic stuff for me. Like, they were using oil lamps and they were going by horse and carriage, but it never like actually told me when this was taking place. For all I know, this could be in the future and the Holy Wars have just like made them lose technology. Like, that could have been the case. So yeah, it just worked for me. Anyways, so besides the writing just being like a little bit clunky, there wasn't really an issue. It was very easy to read. It was very readable. It was a compulsive read. Like, once I finally sat down and started it, all I wanted to do was read it. I had a great time reading it. I may or may not buy a copy. We'll see if and when the second book comes out and if they redo the cover, because I don't love this cover, and that's partially because I tend to not like people, like real people, like photographic people, especially faces on books, which is what this is. So yeah, I'm like not in love with the cover. So I wouldn't go out and buy it like right this instant. But if they like released like a box set with a different cover deal when the second book came out, I would consider that. Anyways, I had a good time. I'm glad I read it. You know, a little tiny bit out of my comfort zone, but it also had some of the things that work for me. So like culty vibes I'm into. I wouldn't describe it as horror in any capacity, but there was like spooky vibes going on that I really enjoyed. So, you know, stretched myself a little bit, but also had some of these like comfort things that, you know, I was clinging to. And I also say like the characters of Emmanuel and Ezra, loved them. Both of them. They were great. Loved them. Yeah, they were, oh, it was so good. I don't know if Alexis Henderson has written anything else, but I might spend a little time on Goodreads and see. So otherwise, that is my thoughts on Year of the Witching. Yesterday I did 2 rolls because I rolled doubles. but I had some technical difficulties and stuff, so I'll just tell you. I rolled 12, which was my double, and I landed on go, which was randomize your TBR, and I got capitalist realism. This is like an 82-page book about capitalism and I don't know, probably socialism and stuff. I don't know. So I'll read that at some point. I'm hoping the audiobook will check out to me, but I do have the ebook. And the other one was Boys Run the Riot, which is a manga about a transgender kid getting involved in street fashion. I'll probably start that tonight. So those are my rolls. So I'm not going to roll after this because I rolled 2 books yesterday. So that's that. I will talk to y'all when I have something to say about something. Hello, it is September 14th and I have finished Boys Run the Riot, the first volume in this manga. This was a book I rolled for buildings and I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I really don't have much to say when I mentioned that it's like about a trans kid who gets into street fashion. That's basically it. He meets another guy who convinces him to start a street fashion brand, and they're like, I guess in high school, like the Japanese equivalent of high school or somewhere around there. And so they're just like building this brand. There wasn't anything I disliked about it. It's just, I don't know, it just didn't grip me in a way, so I'm not gonna keep reading it. I was kind of bored. But that is that. I need to roll, but I'm in the basement and I just realized all my stuff is upstairs. So I'll stop this, I'll film a roll video, and then I'll come back and tell you what book I'll be reading. Okay, so I've done my roll. I landed on the community shelf space, which was supposed to be kind of like the chance cards sort of deal, or like community chest cards that I was supposed to fill out with prompts that did not make it onto the Bookopoly board that I wanted to be on the board. I didn't do that. However, I did take a gander at it and I decided to make it anthology. So I picked this anthology because I just bought it recently. Other Terrors was so successful that I decided to go and buy another horror anthology. So I will be reading The Gathering Dark, an anthology of folk horror. I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard anyone talking about it, but I just thought the cover was just absolutely beautiful, and I was going to buy a different horror anthology from my local indie bookstore, and ended up seeing this, and so I bought this instead of having to wait for an order to come in. So that is that. I will check in when I have thoughts about a different book. Bye. Hello, it is September 15th and I have finished another book. I have finished Without a Prayer by Susan Ashland. The Death of Lucas Leonard and How One Church Became a Cult. This is like 2.5, 3 stars. I don't know, this like really didn't work for me. And I'm not talking about like the case. The case is horrific. The way Lucas and his brother were treated that led to Lucas's death is truly horrifying. But the way this was written, just like, I don't know, it just did not work for me, honestly. One, I wish I had the audiobook of it. I think that would have made this just a little bit better. There was a lot of dialogue in here that was just like so hard to read because it was so like, what is the word? It was so like specifically transcribed, so all the ums and the ahs and the and uhs and all those things were like in the text, which made it so difficult to read. The back half, the chapters were so long. I don't know. I was expecting a little more exploration and like breaking down this church and how it says and how one church became a cult, but like I don't feel like I ever got that part of like how this church became what it became. It kind of felt like it was already there. Like the church already felt significantly authoritarian in problematic ways, basically from the start. So, I mean, I guess maybe it was the transfer of who became pastor is like how it became a cult, but like, I don't know. It just, sadly, I don't know. It just wasn't giving me what I was hoping for when I picked this up. Yeah. So those are my feelings on that. I need to roll for Bookopoly. I will come back with that information, what my next book will be, and then I will have the stats for the week because it is September 15th, so it is the last day of the blog. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so I have done my rolling and I landed on the color wheel spot. I got 7, I think, and landed on color wheel. So then I spun the color wheel and I got yellow. So I've had this Gudetama book sitting on my shelf for a little while, so I picked this up. It's just a little comic book. So this is yellow and I'll read this. And since that's so short and tiny, and I probably will need a heavier duty, longer read, I also grabbed Adverbs by Daniel Handler, which also is not mainly yellow, but has yellow. So these are the last 2 books on my bookshelf that I have not read yet. Everything else on my personal bookshelf, I have read everything on all of it. So yeah, this will complete my bookshelf. These had been sitting on my bookshelf but had not been read. And then all the rest of my like to be read shelf are separated from my actual bookshelf. So yeah, that will make me very happy. I've had this Daniel Handler book for a decade at least. This was one of the first gifts, Christmas gifts, I think, that my husband gave me. He got me a bunch of, or maybe it was a birthday gift, I'm not sure. He got me a bunch of Daniel Handler books because he knew I liked Lemony Snicket. Anyways, so those will be the books that I will start for Bookopoly here soon. I still have the anthology, haven't started that yet, and I still haven't started Capitalist Realism. I might start one or both of those tonight. Probably the anthology, but we'll see. Anyways, so since it's the end of the vlog, my stats are, I have read 4 books this week. The Black Klansman by Ron Stallworth, The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, Boys Run the Riot by Keito Gaku. I'm sorry. And Without a Prayer by Susan Ashline. Unsure. All of those were 3 stars except for The Year of the Witching, which was 4 stars, which I really enjoyed. I will definitely say I feel like this week was a little bit of a slog to get through. I think there was a lot of reasons for that. Kind of figuring out the swing of things with the new dog. This book in particular I just found so difficult to sit down and read. I ended up being able to read a lot more of it once I got a digital copy and like could focus on a smaller amount of text on my phone versus like all the text on a big page. Yeah, and I think just like not only having one audiobook on the go this week was difficult. I think I need to start looking for a few more audiobooks that will fit the prompts I need to search for, but I keep like gravitating towards ones that I have physically. So just reading physically in general is slower for me. So I don't know, that probably all contributes to this. So anyways, I will see y'all next week. probably with a couple more rolls. Well, anyway, sorry I'm rambling. I will see y'all probably with a roll video between now and next week's vlog. Goodbye.